showing 7 o'clock, and I'll call to order the meeting of the Town of Sevastopol Board of Supervisors for Monday, July 21. And I'll ask that you rise and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call to establish a quorum, please.
Supervisor Stavenus.
Here.
Supervisor Wolfel.
Here.
Chairman Zipper.
Here.
Supervisor Tice.
Here.
And Supervisor Weidman.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum, all supervisors in attendance. The meet and greet part of the agenda is, Linda, why don't you start over there?
Linda Waite, Clerk Treasurer for the Town of Sevastopol.
Dick Weidman, Supervisor, 4108 South Country View Road.
Chuck Tice, Sevastopol Supervisor.
Leo Zipper, the Chairman, 3850 Bay Shore.
Dan Wolfel, Supervisor.
John Stavenus, Town Supervisor.
Don Fritz, Fish Creek, property owner, Town of Sevastopol.
Victoria Sanders, 4145 Cherry Road, Sevastopol.
Me? Oh, Jim Lundstrom, Peninsula Pulse.
And behind the camera is the infamous
Patty Chapman.
All right, very good. The agenda has been properly noticed?
It has been.
Okay. Need a motion then
Move
to
that we
adopt.
approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. There any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's carried. Approval of the minutes. First would be the Board of Review from June 23.
Move we approve the board minutes for Board of Review minutes for June 23, 2014.
Second.
Motion made and second. There are comments, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The Board of Supervisor meetings for June 23.
Make a motion to approve the
Second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And that's carried. Financial report for June 2014. Fund balances first, and the budget versus actual through June of 2014. And also the transaction list by date. If there are no questions or comments, we'll accept it and place it on file. Do we have any oral committee reports? Okay, part of your packet then was the Sevastopol Park and Rec Board meeting of May 14th. And the Tourism Zone Commission and Executive Committee meeting is May 15th. And the Property Management Committee meeting of July number 7. Questions, comments? We'll accept those and then place those on file as well. License and permits are next. First would be the Independent Inspections Limited. Their billing recap to show their activity for the month from June 1st through June 3rd. Secondly would be the permits issued by the county for the June town file. There are no questions, we'll place those on file. What do you guys want to get out of here in 5 minutes?
I don't know. There's a new house going up.
Pending business, status, discussion, and action. The homeowner well water testing program update would be next, and Linda has been very active in that. And she was instrumental in getting the samples, getting the bottles out, getting them back, and also in the delivery of the bottles to the university. Linda, you want to give a short summary?
Yes, Sevastopol, we delivered, I believe it was 80 bottles from the town of Sevastopol, and 40 each about from Jacksonport and the town of Sturgeon Bay. The presentation now for the homeowners who had their well water tested, should they wish to participate in that discussion, will be Tuesday, August 19th, beginning at 6 p.m. here at the town hall.
Thank you.
A preliminary email from Kevin Masaryk at the UW indicates that well results were surprisingly good. So,
Surprised.
Does that mean other towns were a lot worse?
you can ask him any and all questions on Tuesday, August 19th at 6 p.m. here at the town hall.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, and thanks for your effort in getting that all accomplished.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman, could I add something to that, please?
Go ahead.
I noticed that the state now has their well database online. It's pretty easy to use. And I noticed that some wells have their water tests, this is old water tests, not the new ones, entered on the database too. So assuming the lab results are linked to our wells, that'd probably be really good information. You can look up any well that's been drilled since at least 1989, maybe earlier, and I hope you'll be able to see the water tests. It's public information, I'm assuming.
If the county follows the same procedure that they did for the towns of Liberty Grove, Village of Sister Bay, Bailey's Harbor, and Egg Harbor, they will post the well sampling consensus on their website as well. Just go to the Door County Planning and Zoning Department website, click on well testing program, and you'll see they kind of do plot the various areas of the towns that have been tested.
Very good. I see the note from Jerry Visti indicating that he was very happy with the towns that did participate. And we have 6 towns to complete, and then the entire county will then have an accurate picture of home well conditions and the sense, whatever it is, of our groundwater in most locations. The effort was all Linda, and she put in a lot of time, a lot of extra hours for it. So we thank her for that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
The road work 2014, the status is that we are pretty well completed. The culverts have been installed. Unfortunately, the settling with the rain have prompted some calls relative to the depressions in the road, and they're wondering if we forgot to put the culvert in there. After it's settled enough, they will pave over the top, but that was on Heverly and also on West Clark Lake Road. The paving has been completed on Forest Road at Country View to Brower. Richard, does it meet your
It was
approval?
an excellent job,
Thank you.
much better than the 5,280 feet that we originally had talked about.
All right, very good.
Remember when you said those markers, those round markers for the 40s?
Yeah.
Or 80s? If you have any of those, they will fix them? The state will fix them or the county will fix them in the road?
Well, I think the county is going to be doing it when they started initially. That was a contract done with Boatwin Incorporated,
Okay.
and I don't know who has that contract anymore.
Because on Bechtel Road, on the north side of WD, I think there's one right in front of the Fellifer Farm. I think there's one that looks like it's busting out.
Busting out as in sinking, you mean, or?
No, the metal ring is there, but the pavement around it is disappearing. Like
Yeah,
when they hit it, you know.
okay.
Looked to me like they were filling those in, because when I was on
Yeah, they tried.
one of the roads, it looked like all those markers had fresh blacktop in them.
Well, yeah, but I don't think this one. I don't think does.
Okay.
It's like filling a pothole.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Is
So it's on Bechtel north of WD?
yes.
Okay. And Lori Lane was missed, Chuck, but they'll be back to get those potholes on there.
And then the culvert on the new part on Bechtel, I think, is caving in.
Yeah, that's what I had told them.
That one, looks like we're just gonna pave over the top.
Just put some pavement in.
There was a new install a couple of years ago, and that's what happens with the settling around it. So they're going to wait for the conditions to dry a little bit, and when they're in the area, they'll just run right over the top, so. That was by Sawyer Farm, right? By Tom Sawyer North?
Tom Sawyer?
Huck Finn?
Yeah.
Fellifer? The Fellifer Farm?
No, it's right
No,
by,
no.
The culvert?
Yeah,
That's
we're
by
down.
Mann's.
yeah, it's by
Jerry
Mann's.
Mann's.
It's just north of Whitefish, about a block on
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
side.
I'm talking about the other one,
The yellow farm?
10-4.
Survey marker?
I'm
Got it.
talking about the other part of Bechtel that had where Cassie Sylvic Miller lives,
Yes.
that area.
The culvert?
The culvert had you brought it to my attention, it was settling.
No, that's on the north side of Whitefish Bay Road
Yeah.
by Jerry Mann.
That's where you want to go. I'm going.
You got another one?
I think that was.
I'm confused.
Anyway, okay.
Okay.
There's a culvert on Bechtel Road just past Whitefish Bay Road that's
I
settling.
got that one, okay.
And then the survey marker past WD is popping out like a pothole around it.
All right, very good.
Well, I still have a complaint or a problem on the corner of Bluff Drive and Martin. Even with the new stop sign there, evidently the people can't see it. They don't stop for it. We put a barricade there. I had one person request that we put a right turn, no stop sign below it.
Why don't you drive at your own risk too?
The right turn is the long sweeping curve, and they feel as though they can go right through.
Well,
But they're still-
I was told that if that property owner there would cut those big trees, the vision corner would be there and there'd be no need for any stuff.
Well, the thing is, it depends where you put the white line.
Okay, we'll add the white line, hopefully that'll,
I don't know if a bigger red flag on the sign, so it's waving that they can see it better.
people drive by habit, I hope you know that.
That's right.
They don't
It's
see.
a new
half the
sign,
stuff.
it's never been there before, so a lot of them are going to run through it before they realize it was there. But
We've had one at South Cave Point Drive in Whitefish Bay for about 6 years and people still don't stop for it.
Yeah, we know.
So,
And it's all the local.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right, any other?
And while you're out looking at brush, you might want to look at the arrow sign and the street sign in that same location.
Yeah, that's on the list. You can go over there anytime you want, just snip those off.
I would.
Okay. All right. Public nuisance and regulation of outside storage, unsightly premises, and hazardous ordinances. And Chuck, you're the chair there. You want to give us a quick
Well, we've
update?
been getting complaints about outside storage, mainly on unsightly premises. So we are reviewing these ordinances again. We're recruiting help from the county and other professions to help us clean up some of these problems. We're also looking at the ordinance themselves. We may break them apart, separate some of the items from them, and come back with new ordinance with more teeth in it. They're easier to enforce. And we will also be looking at the animal regulations again in the near future. It's an ongoing process. If anybody's got comments on it, can contact me with them. Once we get some better information and some drafts put together, I'm sure we'll be holding a public meeting, so.
You can do that before you send out any notices to the
To-
landowners?
We can operate under the ordinances as they are now, and the county ordinances, and we intend to start working on the properties too. But at the same time, we need to look at the ordinances again.
Okay.
Would right-of-way fall into that category at all?
Would what?
Right-of-way, people building in our town right-of-way?
Building in the right-of-ways?
Yeah.
I would think that's a zoning problem really, but if it becomes a nuisance, it would sure be looked at.
They get a building permit.
Do you have a particular item or
No,
no?
just that, actually, we were talking about, I think I exchanged notes with Linda, just saying that maybe in the next newsletter, it might not be a bad idea to remind people of what the right-of-way is, so that people aren't constructing stuff in it, as we have seen in many places. So I was just wondering if that might,
Are you referring to buildings, or are you for like gardens, stone walls, and mailboxes, such as that?
yeah, structures that end up, names, mailboxes, I mean, things that are more than you'd expect.
Mailboxes have to be in the right of way.
Well, mailbox, but.
But there are regulations as to what the mailbox can be mounted on, so.
Brick wall.
Or, signs announcing your dwelling and other miscellaneous and sundry things. Things that are definitely beyond the norm, so. Okay.
Okay, the next item would be the emerald ash borer, the preventative applications. Richard, will need your expertise on this one.
Okay. There was a session held at the Crossroads Learning Center, I think it was June 24th. Very well attended. I'd say probably close to 100 people attended that. It was a very informative meeting. DNR was represented, the county was represented, towns were represented. Chuck, I think you were there, right? The long and short of it is, people that, as far as preventive and control of emerald ash borer, there are some options for homeowners, and some of them are quite simple. I would recommend that the town, we have, I don't know how many ash trees we have in the park?
A few,
Few?
probably 6, 7.
6, 7. Probably recommend that we have a treatment schedule starting this fall, consisting of an insecticide drench around the tree. We repeat it again next spring and then repeat it annually with a systemic insecticide. It has proven to be very effective against emerald ash borer, but it has to be done every year on an annual basis. And it's not a real expensive treatment. It's not an insecticide that is a restricted material, so it can be done by an applicator through a simple drench method.
Where do we get this good stuff?
Our local pesticide dealer probably would be Door County Cooperative,
Okay.
and we would probably get a gallon of it.
You let me know what it is, or you pick it up and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I can, sure. I can
You can
go down
charge,
and pick
you
it
can
up.
charge it there.
I can charge it, good.
You need to be licensed to put it in, or not?
No. Homeowners have access to this material, and it's one of the common ways to control it. It's been used many years for bronze birch borer, for birch trees, and it's very effective. So, as far as the park is concerned, we can save our ash trees.
Great.
Save our ashes.
Or the
Save, I
park
didn't say that, I said
coming up
trees.
and-
Save our ash
Make sure you
trees.
finish that sentence.
Yes.
I was at the meeting, I brought back a pamphlet, it's on file with the clerk. All the items in that pamphlet are, that we do have permission to copy, so if anybody would like some information, they can collect it there. There are also on the table here some little cards, pocket-sized card identifying the little critter and how to locate it and identify it. And the fact that the big thing now is firewood, moving firewood. You should buy it where you want to burn it.
And you can't move it
You
over.
have to understand now that the county is quarantined. Nothing leaves this county with bark on it or any vegetation, like from nurseries, without going through an inspection and going through certified companies. So any logging going on in the county now has to follow regulations, and all those logs are inspected and checked, and materials have to be controlled. There's nothing preventing things from still coming into the county though, so, unless they come from another quarantined area. So that's how we got this bug, and now it's our responsibility to kind of corral it and keep it here, which we really don't want either, so.
It was from China.
Just another visitor from the door
China.
county visitor.
It was from China.
China, cool.
Yeah,
Door County Visitor Bureau.
they could have kept it.
All right. Any other comments, or not?
Nope. I think we can do a good job.
The one thing they did stress is, this thing is terminal. You're not going to save all the ash trees, they're going to die. And we saw areas in other locations over a 5-year period where an entire forest defoliated and died. And that's going to happen here. You can't stop it, you can't afford to do the treatment on every tree out there. It's expected that it's gonna run somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 a year per tree to put the chemicals around it. So that thought was, if you have a nice tree in your yard, you may try to save it over a number of years while you have a different species getting established to take its place.
Okay, thank you. The next item would be the Martin notice of injury or claim for damages. Did we get a letter on that one, or not?
I didn't see anything.
There wasn't anything in the packet.
No, we don't have anything in writing. I did follow up with Rural Insurance Legal Department. That's been assigned to it just because our deadline is August 30th. And he assures me that there is a letter of denial forthcoming, at which point we would submit that to our attorney. The board would then formally deny any coverage and just respond to that attorney saying,
So we should have
we're
it
out of
by
the
next
picture.
month?
Yeah, right, so we should have, the board would need to act on it at their August meeting,
All right,
so. I've got the dates docketed and won't let it slide.
Wisconsin Act 377, the implement of husbandry, the agricultural vehicles, I had supplied everyone with a lot of information as well. It was covered rather well in the Wisconsin Towns Association magazine. And for those of you who might want to go further on it, there is a meeting coming up, and it's on August or September 18th in Green Bay. So included in your packet was the save the date notice for the town and village workshops. And I think it is very worthwhile that we get there. We need to take action by January 1st to either opt in or opt out with the various choices that we had before. Nothing else to report at this time other than if you have September 18th available, I'm sure we can carpool, or if you're down there for other business, you can stop by.
It's a day meeting, right?
I believe it starts in the
Doesn't
morning.
say anything on here.
They don't have the agenda yet, but it is usually during, September 18th is a Thursday.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, new business, center pivot.
Before you go on, do we need to act on the 2 liquor license?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I did pass them over. The information is there for you to show that Linda issued a temporary license to the Door Devil Motorcycle Club for, when is their party or what?
It was last weekend.
Okay.
The clerk has authority to approve temporary Class B license, picnic license, but I am required to notify the board that I did issue them, so that's why they're in the packet.
Okay, and the other is for the Northeast Wisconsin Antique Power Association, and that'll run from August 15th through the 17th. Notification to the board enough, or do we have to approve?
Nope, you don't have to approve it.
Thank you. The new business, the center pivot irrigators and effluent spread and discussion. We had been contacted, I had been contacted by Victoria Cernich, wanting to have this item before us. She provided us with 8 or 9 pages of information relative to the issue. I as well provided, and it should have been on your table tonight, the report from the department, or from the door property owners, had an article in there as well from Miguel and Kiwani. I thought it was well worth your effort to take a look at it. So Victoria, I promised I'd give you some time. Don't go through all 10 pages.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Victoria Sarich, 4145 Cherry Road. Thank you for putting it on the agenda. And I think even by today's discussion, even though it was limited on our discussion of road issues, potholes and repairs that we have to make, $150,000 of our budget is dedicated to taking care of our roads. And one of the things that would happen if we increase the amount of manure spread up here by using center pivot spraying is that we would have an additional burden on our roads. So that wasn't mentioned in any of the...
Okay, you're getting very much into your opinion. Why don't you just start and tell us what this application is all about? How does it become by...
There's excess agricultural liquid agricultural waste, whether it's manure in lagoons, or it's agricultural waste that's swept out of large animal facilities. And it's being collected, and they don't have enough places to put it. And one of the lesser expensive to the owner of this substance is to transport it by tanker truck to areas and then distribute it using a center pivot spraying system, which is cheaper than going up and down the rows and applying it directly to the ground. Or sometimes they have a traveling gun that has a hose connected to it, and it travels up and down the road, but it can reach a lot further, and it doesn't have to do as much traveling, use as much gasoline. Or sometimes there's a sprinkler system. Any of these systems, instead of directly applying this substance to the ground, which may have its own impact, but I'm not addressing that, it's putting it up into the air, so you get droplets. And the droplets don't have borders. They don't fall directly back down onto the ground where it was placed. They can be carried by wind. It increases the amount of odor pollution. We've got a very green, very pleasant area here. We've got a very attractive rural environment, and this could have a very deleterious impact on our quality of life for everyone, not just people that are homeowners, but farmers who don't want this to be transported across their fields because it was sprayed one area and then the wind lifted it and put it somewhere else. You've got the village powers to deal with nuisance ordinances. You talked about that earlier today as well. Under 60.22, you can regulate and prohibit nuisances in the community. So I'm asking that before this becomes a practice in Sevastopol, I'm asking that you consider establishing a public nuisance ordinance that will regulate, define, prohibit this practice in our area. We have other ways of distributing manure and agricultural liquid waste. This particular one can be very noxious. I've submitted information about the National Association of Local Boards of Health that recommend prohibition. The American Lung Association recommends prohibition. University of Nebraska Lincoln Extension did a serious test. They recommended prohibition. As a public nuisance, we can do it. We've got the village powers, and I would appreciate consideration of that. I submitted samples of 5 ordinances that have been passed by communities. The closest to us are 2 communities in Kewaunee County, and Linda has that documentation. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, it's on our agenda tonight for discussion purposes only. And your information as you gave it. I did receive a letter from our attorney advising that we go slowly on this solely because it's a larger issue than passing an ordinance and say you can't do it. So, he hasn't said we can't do anything about it, but he's recommending that we look at all the issues. I believe farmer right bills as well would dictate how active we can become and whether or not we have enough substance in our ordinance to prohibit anything like that. I know many years ago the effort was to stop any infiltration into our town from other sources of manufacture, and we really didn't want it to be spread in our areas. That never got off the ground either. Anyway, very well. We'll monitor that for a while, and we'll take particular interest with our attorney and listen to him. Not only will he provide us the information as far as where we can go with it, but he's going to have to defend us in a court of law. So that you don't think I'm making this up, I just want you to know that the information came at 12:12 this afternoon. And it's from Attorney Nesbitt. In the event the issue is going to lead to development of an ordinance or resolution preventing such irrigation, the town should be aware that there are some state regulations involving the right to farm legislation, as well as livestock sighting regulations that need to be considered when establishing the regulation of center pivot or other liquid manure spreading regulations. He is familiar with the application requirements, regulations, and have drafted the Town of Lincoln resolution that is contained in the packet. So with that information, we aren't going to really go any further. But
I got a question. The center pivot, is that just a spray nozzle that pivots in the
I
center?
don't know, I was
Because
kind of hoping you would tell us what it's all
some of
about.
those great big
The ones you
manure
see
things
now,
have the,
Yeah, you see the big Archer Daniels Midland commercials, and you've got these machines that they rotate like this in a field. Those are all those fields you see that have the
like
center.
an irrigation system?
It's an irrigation system. They normally put water in it. Now they
Okay.
want to put agricultural waste or liquid manure in it and spray it in the same.
Okay, now they have some of those spray arms on the back of a great big manure
Tanker
spread
truck,
tanker, you know, or they pull it behind a tractor or a tanker. Now, is that considered a center pivot too?
No, that's not a center. Center pivot are
That's great.
fixed.
Huh?
That's more like
That's
a
great.
traveling gun, but the definition gets murky. I think that's why your attorney has said that it needs to be careful.
Okay.
It depends on how far you're spraying. If there's a certain distance to the ground that those sprayers go when they move along and spray, sort of like a personal application of fertilizer,
Okay.
as opposed to taking your hose and shooting it 40 feet across the area where it can aerosolize.
I noticed in reading through these things that most of these were passed anywhere from 2 years, 2011, 2012. So I would think by now, some of these people would have had these challenged if there was some,
Right.
I don't know what Randy's experience is, but you'd think so.
I did submit two that were passed recently. One was 2013 in today's packet, May 6, 2013. That's Lincoln, the one that Attorney Nesbitt talked about. And the other is July 14th, the city of Algoma passed one.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that since there's some of these out here that are over 2 years old, you'd think if there was an issue, someone by now would have sued you.
Yes.
Or
So
done something.
I didn't
But I don't know.
locate any.
Okay.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Yeah, Dennis. You have a question?
Mr. Chairman, Don Fricks, Fish Creek. I think there is a bit of an urgency here. I was reading Wood County down near Portage in Juneau County was just sued by Wasaki Dairy for the Golden Sands Dairy, and it was a 3-year dispute. The county had tried to get resolutions on the books to prevent an 8,000-acre aerial spraying in a 5,300 cow dairy expansion. And the town just lost the lawsuit after 3 years of trying to fight this, but the town claimed they had the ordinances in place, and the judge just said that they didn't have sufficient stuff in place. So I think it's imperative for you guys to look at getting something in place. I don't see that there's enough spray area in the township itself, that somebody would maybe come in here, but the aerosols from the sprayers that are in a 40-acre field, they travel 6 miles. There's 150 pathogens in some of that area.
Yeah, I think that was
But I
covered in
think
some of
getting something on the books before one of these dairies might sell out down the road somewhere to a different owner who might not be as good a neighbor. And if you have something on the books now, you can prevent that. And I think the preventative aspect of it is critical to get something going on it now.
I also think what comes into play might be the nutrient management programs that the watershed the farmers that are involved in the watershed programs. And we probably could check with Soil and Water to see once, because the nutrient management plans require an incorporation of liquid manure after a certain period of time. So the center pivots may not be in compliance with the nutrient management plans these farmers all have to sign.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was going to say that the soil and water people have been involved, not in the pivotal spray, but in the how much can be administered to the soil, and that's been a while. That's Bill Schuster and groups. And there are some county ordinances that would, and I believe state ordinance that dictate how much they can apply depending on the soil depth. So.
Mr. Chairman, it is on the agenda for the LCC.
Okay.
Their
Very good.
revised date, their meeting is this Wednesday at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it is on their agenda.
Okay.
And I believe Dr. Peter Sigmund is going to talk.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on to the resolution number 2. What you see in front of you is what I have. The, or lack thereof.
That's a pretty lengthy one.
Well, I tried to in the past several months, May and June, specifically to come up with a full membership to each one of the committees. Unfortunately, those that I've contacted didn't have the issue or the interest. And nobody is ringing my phone to serve on these committees. So the Fire and Rescue Committee of members of 5 total. They have 1 vacant there. Park and Rec has 1 vacant there. The Plan Commission, I was going to reduce that to 5, and I'm told it has to be 7. It goes on the population, and we exceed 2,500. So there are 3 vacancies there. The PEG cable channel is okay. Property management, we filled that last time around. And the other are Board of Review is actually the committee, and the we do have 1 alternate there who has already participated. So, as I said before, anyone wanting to be a part of this, give Linda a call at the town hall, or she's had it on the sign out in front, but we don't get a whole bunch of offers to participate. So with what you have before you, I would appreciate a motion to adopt the resolution, and we'll backfill it somewhere down the line.
I'll move that we adopt resolution number 2, 2014 TB,
Second?
the committee appointment, that's what it is.
Very well, and if you know anybody that wants to be on, I don't want to fill it with all board members.
Maybe we need to institute a draft.
Yeah. Okay. All in favor of resolution number 2, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That's carried. Approval of the vouchers, bills.
Needs a couple signatures, Leo. It needs a couple signatures.
Move that we approve vouchers, bills, and claims June 24, 2014 through July 21, 2014.
Okay.
Second?
Questions or comments on any of the bills? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? And it's carried. Correspondence was rather lackluster this time around. If after we provide you the information that we get in correspondence form, And you get it in your packet if you do have any of that that you'd like to have submitted on the agenda for action. Contact Linda or me and we'll put it down. But the other stuff is resolutions from the county. And also notice that the lead man at Meissner Landscape has departed the company. And Chris Horvat, who was Bill's assistant, will be handling any problems that might arise. So he was basically with the parks, right? The announcements are the primary election is Tuesday, August 12th. Polls are open from 7 until 8 p.m. Property Management Committee next is August 12 at 9. Water sampling results presentation August 19. And our next Board of Supervisors meeting is August 18. So do we have any agenda items for the next meeting?
We may have something on ordinances or
Yeah, okay.
enforcement thereof.
We don't make out the agenda till the week before, so if you can get that to us. I provided a copy at your desk, I think. Did you get my note about the night that almost was?
Yeah.
Almost what?
Almost wasn't.
Oh.
What happened is when the storm came on the 14th of July, bringing the hail and gusty winds, etc., some of the people in the community of Institute were up in arms about the fact that there was no pre-warning relative to the impending storm. So the hour that it occurred, most everybody was going to be in bed anyway. They thought perhaps a siren or something would have alerted them to the issue. Short of the fact that NOAA weather warning system is a pretty good conduit, there are a whole bunch of people that just don't have that. There is a new system approaching, and I think it's the red alert or something to that effect, but I'm not quite certain of how that all plays out.
Code red weather.
Okay. And it's being sponsored by the county, and I think you can sign up for that, and it's relatively inexpensive. But I believe the siren aspect of it would be very expensive.
Is this the telephone system that automatically dials out everybody on certain?
That is correct. That would be that red alert thing. So maybe that would be the thing, and I indicated, it wasn't a bad situation now, but when school is in session, it can be that much worse. But I believe over there they do have the weather warning systems.
Right, we have an alert system.
So the emergency service people are looking at that to see if there's another way for us to adopt something on it. So. Okay, and depending on the go-ahead with the attorney, I'll use his advice to see if we're going to come back in ordinance form with the pivotal spray.
Well, I got a question on, on the EMS and the fire department. It says the pagers are separated. There is 2 different channels there, yes, but it was under my understanding that the mutual aid channel is the one where they send out all these weather alerts. So, and that one really, is more towards the fire, but if you have the mutual aid tones in your pager, it will go off.
In my little bit of checking, I found out that it did go out on the fire channel,
Correct, my pager went off, yes.
and there was no other,
But that's how they've done it forever, it goes out on the fire channel.
okay, but I think what Dan is talking about is they're able to program the area, and then all the phones would ring in that, so,
Well, right, but they said it doesn't go out on the EMS channel, well,
no, it won't.
you gotta have an EMS pager or a fire pager for it to go off to start with, so
Correct.
I don't understand what the concerned citizen is asking for.
Okay.
At least you notified the emergency personnel, but the general public still doesn't have that information. That's where the problem lies. So with the code red,
Well, yes, I understand
you
that
know,
part,
would be another opportunity for the general public to be notified for being that there are no sirens in the neighborhood.
yeah. But he's saying that it went out over a fire department, personnel knew about it. And I'm saying it goes out on the same channel, but you still have to have a fire pager or an EMS pager to get it, to pick it up.
Are you supposed to get it and then call us off?
He could have got on his horse and went, the British are coming, the British are coming.
I could have called you all at that time of the night. Next time I will.
All right, any other items of business to be discussed or put on the agenda for next time? Hearing none, a motion would be in order to adjourn.
I have a question.
You're late and too late.
So move.
I'm sorry.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I think we skipped public participation up on item number 4. So then I'm not too late. I just wanted to thank Ms. Wade for answering any questions I had on one of the agenda items.
Well, I think what we did was a meet and greet, and the only one that had any issue was
I didn't-
Victoria, and we had it on so.
I'm sorry, but I just didn't hear
All right.
any other questions. But I just wanted to thank Linda for helping me
Very
answer a
well.
couple questions.
Linda is a very good girl, you know that. All right, motion would be in order then to adjourn.
I think we had one.
I made the motion, we need a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 And we are.